Okay, this video is going to be part 2 of exposing the ridiculous nature of what we were fed after the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The notion that all teams agreed to a racing finish, which is an utter lie. You're not allowed to do that, as exposed in my first video and numerous occasions before. But this is going to show you, using what actually happened during the race, that that wasn't what the teams were doing. Okay, and I'm going to prove that with this video, demonstrate that to you, what their thought process was. Before I get into this video, what I need to show you is the following. So this is my YouTube channel, and over recent months the channel size has grown significantly and the number of views that the videos were getting increased significantly. And what do we put that down to? We can say, oh, it's the YouTube algorithm. We've hit a sweet spot and YouTube are finally showing it to more people. I don't know if I believe that, because at the moment the views are decreasing significantly and the videos that I'm making aren't getting seen. And if we look at my latest videos, where this one is my last one, where I'm doing the first part of this myth of this teams agreeing to a green finish of a Grand Prix. But I'm looking at also who owns Formula One. And in that video, I mentioned that it's big American banking companies that ultimately own the media, ultimately own Liberty Media, and hence ultimately own the show of Formula One. And hence, because they own the media, they're not allowing the media to expose that Formula One has committed a fraud, because that is going to mean serious consequences. And those big American banking corporations don't want to have to pay the penalty, those serious consequences for that crime. So they're suppressing the narrative. And then it seems my content is getting suppressed as well. So if you've not already checked out those videos, check them out. But the chances are that YouTube is not going to recommend them to you. So I've done a little bit more research. So we'll have a look at the bit of research that I've done. So it made me think, well, why is YouTube going to be suppressing my content? So I thought, well, who owns YouTube? Well, YouTube is owned by Google. Okay. Okay, we know that YouTube is owned by Google. Who owns Google? Google is owned by Alphabet Inc. Okay, so Google's owned by them. So who owns Alphabet Inc? Well, Alphabet Inc is owned by its shareholders, the largest ones being Vanguard, BlackRock, and co-founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin. So Vanguard and BlackRock ultimately own YouTube as well. So you wonder why even on YouTube you don't get the truth, and you wonder why even on YouTube your content gets suppressed. And like I say, what is happening, what I've experienced in my last few videos, is on upload you have the option of selecting whether or not your video is monetized, and YouTube then performs its checks and then it decides whether or not you're eligible for your video to be monetized. And I keep getting this continually: monetization limited, and it will be your audience or monetization will be limited, meaning that if there's no adverts attached, they're not going to be trying too hard to recommend your video to anyone, because they're not making any money out of it either. If they're not attaching adverts, they don't make money, which means this channel doesn't make any money out of it, because I only get a proportion of what they make. Why would your advertisers not want to associate their brands with the truth, Google? I wonder. What narrative are you wanting to push to people? But what happens when I get this notification? So this is what it says. Let me zoom on this. It says this video may earn limited or no ad revenue due to content identified as not suitable for most advertisers. We use a combination of automated systems and human reviews to detect violations of our advertiser-friendly content guidelines. It remains fully playable and is eligible to earn subscription revenue from YouTube Premium. Okay, so that limits the visibility of your video and limits the earning potential. What you then have to do is you have to manually request a review. I can choose whether or not to publish that video with it being limited ad suitability, and I can either wait for that result of the review or just publish it there and then, knowing that any views aren't going to get any advertising revenue. And then about a week later, YouTube emails me back and go, "Good news, we've reviewed your video and found it to be suitable. Thanks for that. You know, got no advertising revenue for all the views that it's had, but you're not going to delay me putting the video out for a week because you don't want it to be seen," or whatever your agenda is. But that has happened on, didn't happen on that one, strangely, but it happened on this one, Formula One on trial, and it happened on this one, Formula One, this one here, reported to the Serious Fraud Office, and I believe it happened on this one, how to commit a fraud. It's happening very frequently at the moment, that my videos are somehow not passing the YouTube checks to be suitable for advertising revenue. Strange that, isn't it, YouTube? Strange that. So I know that you suppress Wonderful's channel by demonetizing him. Is this just a covert way of seeking to demonetize this channel when I've stated that the advertising revenue that is accrued, earned by this channel is going to pay the court fees for when we take Formula One and the associated corrupt entities to court over this? And now you want to suppress the earning potential of the channel, and it's ultimately owned by the owners of Alphabet, Vanguard and BlackRock, controlling the narrative of the world. Rich bankers with criminal connections. Anyway, we'll get into this video. Hopefully, bit by bit, we're all waking up. We're all learning, aren't we? Every day is a school day. That we're all finding out that actually it is the likes of Vanguard and BlackRock that ultimately have a finger in every pie and therefore control everything. Oh, that's just a conspiracy theory, of course, yeah. Okay, right, so what we're going to do is look at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and we're going to show you so that you can do it, okay? Because the sport doesn't show you this. The sport doesn't educate you. So I'm going to show you how to do this, and hopefully that'll improve your knowledge about the sport. We'll do it this way, and then I'll show you what it would be under racing conditions, because the pit stop timings during safety car are different to the pit stop timings during normal racing, and I'll just demonstrate the difference at the end. So, pit stop strategy, pit stop timings relating to safety car. So, what's going to happen now?
Come the first race. Oh no! Nicholas Latifi has crashed.
Oh no! Nicholas Latifi has crashed. So let's have a look on data view, see what's going on.
The first race. Oh no!
Right, so as you've seen there, you've heard that repeated oh no. So there's always a second or two lag when you change screens on, when you change the view here, using this section here, the available options on F1 TV, whether you go from data view to tracker view to driver cam to the main international view there. All right, what's that one? The pit lane view. All right, I don't really look at that one. So this is data view. This shows us that we're on lap 53 of 58. Lewis Hamilton's in the lead, 12-second lead. Okay, yellow flag at this stage because the race director has not chosen which measure he's going to use. They're just saying yellow flag because there is an issue. So you wave the yellow flags, make the drivers aware. Safety concern. Now, race director, you have got to decide how to deal with this safety concern. So,
Nicholas Latifi has crashed, and I think that is at turn 14, where we saw Kimi Räikkönen crash in practice. It is at turn 14.
And now the banner across the top there has just changed to safety car, as the race director has clearly given the signal that he's going to use the safety car to deal with this situation, whether he presses a button that then causes this data screen to show the message safety car. That is what I assume would happen. I would assume that he would press a button that says, I'm going to deploy the safety car. That button then, that software communicates to all the teams and all of the cars so that it's displayed on the driver's display in his car that the safety car is being deployed to deal with a safety incident. All right. So at this stage, if we look at the bar at the bottom, we can see Lewis Hamilton is here. Okay, the red bar's in the way, but Lewis Hamilton's car is there. And this indicates how far around the lap he is. So I'm going to switch now to tracker view.
It is at turn.
Okay, so tracker view, safety car should be deployed, and we've got Lewis Hamilton coming towards turn 13, so we'll soon be approaching 14 where the crash site is. We'll play it forward.
14, and yes, that will be a safety car because marshals are going to need to recover that Williams and to work on it, and this now completely changes the context of this race if they can clear the Williams in time and we can have a couple of laps racing to the checkered flag.
There's bound to be a couple, and of course that's where Max Verstappen's much.
Okay, I've stopped it here because where Hamilton is at turn 16 is the entrance to the pits. That is where you peel off to the right-hand side and enter the pit lane, where Hamilton is approximately now. The time here in the bottom corner is 1:29.07. Okay, 1 hour, 29 minutes, 7 seconds. So, when you remain on track, the pit entrance is there at 16. The pit exit is where Valtteri Bottas is at turn 3. And we'll see the way that the pit exit road meets the track here, close to where Bottas is. We are going to time how long it takes if you remain on track to get from pit entrance to pit exit. So we're going to play it through. So 1:29.07. Let's see where we end up.
Fresher tyres will fire up and give him the confidence on any kind of restart. It depends how there will be. I'm pretty sure on lap 52, obviously because of the slow pace with 5 to go, that they'll probably have a lap or two as long as they get it. If they get a vehicle on there and get.
Okay, so that is approximately where the white lines of the pit lane exit meet the track, and then there's the threshold where you're actually back on track. So where we were 07, if we go back to here, 1:29.27. Okay, so when I've done this before, I've stopped it and it's been at 19 seconds. This time I've stopped it and it's 20 seconds. We're in that ballpark. So if you remain on track, the time it takes you during safety car, this is because as soon as that safety car message is given to those drivers, they get on the screen of their car the notification that safety car has been deployed, and each car must slow down to what's called a delta, okay, a speed which they must not exceed, and therefore that's measured by how the time at which they arrive at various timing points around that circuit. Okay, so that is being compliant to a delta, not going too fast. So at the speed that they have to comply to, once a safety car has been deployed, it takes, well, it took Hamilton from turn 16 to, which is pit entrance, to pit exit, 19/20 seconds. Okay? So, if you pitted, how long does it take to do a pit stop? So what we're going to do, we're going to see how long it took Max Verstappen to pit. We now know Max Verstappen is this blue dot. It's got Ricciardo, the orange dot that's just behind him. And we're going to see what happens here. Let's play it through. Let me just show you the timings of this and bring this down. Sorry, I'm not doing this particularly well, but we'll do what we can.
Obviously because of the slow pace with 5 to go, that they'll.
Okay, at this point here, Verstappen is at 16. Pit entrance. This is 1:29.22. So 1:29.22. and he's just about to enter the pit. So let's see when he re-emerges at the point where the pit exit reaches the track.
Probably have a lap or two, as long as they get if they get a vehicle on there and get that out of the way.
And coming into the pits, Max Verstappen. Hamilton stays out. Verstappen coming into the pits, and I would imagine there's a set of soft tyres waiting for him to go onto that Red Bull car. Yes, it is.
I can't box.
Negative.
Right, so if there is a restart, Verstappen now has fresh soft tyres. Lewis has heavily used hard compound tyres. They will let any lap runners through on the safety car.
Okay. So 130.01. Okay, 130.01. Which, when we started at 129.22, is 39 seconds. We know if you remain on track, it takes you 20 seconds approximately to get from pit entrance to pit exit. If you go in the pits, it takes you 39 seconds. Which means you need to be approximately 19 seconds ahead of a car on track in order to be able to get in the pits, change tyres and out of the pits and back out on track to be able to remain ahead of them. If you are less than 19 seconds ahead of the car that you're in front of, it's unlikely that you'll be able to get in the pits, change tyres and back out on track before they've made it through. So the safe window to be able to pit and get back on track without losing track position, assuming that they remain on track and don't pit as well, is that you need a margin of at least 19 seconds ahead of the other competitors. So what we're going to do is go to the point in time where these decisions were being made. Bearing in mind then is, let's go back to where Lewis Hamilton, they would make the decision.
Couple of laps racing to the checkered flag.
Pause that. Oh no, Nicholas Latifi has crashed. Okay. Nicholas Latifi is just about to crash here.
By those slight regulation changes.
Well, that feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? But yes, Mercedes had an awful pre-season test, didn't they? We thought they would be in terrible trouble come the first race.
Oh no, Nicholas Latifi has crashed, and I think that is at turn 14.
Okay, so if you are the strategist for a team, you'd have data view, you'd have tracker view. You should be able to see all what's going on now. All right, so you'd be making your decision. What is going on? There's an incident. There's a yellow flag. Are we going to get a virtual safety car? Are we going to get a safety car? What are we going to do? Okay, what are we going to do? What is available to us? So at this point in time, this is the decision-making process. Have we got 19 seconds? Have we got a margin of 19 seconds in front of the car that's behind us that would allow us to get our driver in and out of those pits and not lose track position? Lewis Hamilton's pit crew. Staying out. We've only got just under 12 seconds. All right, at the moment, that will fluctuate to just below 12 seconds to just above 12 seconds. We've only got 12 seconds. We need at least 19 seconds to be sure of not losing track position if Max Verstappen doesn't pit. We're not going to make that risk. We are close to the end of the race. The race might not restart, and therefore track position is key. Staying out. Max Verstappen's choice. Well, he has got a margin of 26 seconds over Perez. Look at this interval column here. Okay, that's the key here. Interval. That's the distance, the time difference, the time gap between each competitor. Because as I say here, you can look that Bottas is only 2 seconds behind Sainz. So it's the distance, the time gap between each of those competitors. Verstappen is 12 seconds behind Hamilton. Perez is 26 seconds behind Verstappen. So Verstappen can pit and get back out on track ahead of Perez if Perez doesn't pit. Okay, as they are both teammates, then they can always pit Perez anyway to restore that track position, even in the event of a safety car finish. So therefore, that should never even be an issue for them. Okay, they just move him out of the way under safety car. So there was never any jeopardy for Red Bull and Max Verstappen. Perez, he is, well, you look at Sainz, he's plus 30 seconds behind Perez. So Perez is more than 19 seconds ahead of Sainz. Perez also can get in and out of those pits before Sainz would pass him, assuming Sainz doesn't pit. Okay, Sainz didn't pit. Why didn't Sainz pit? Well, Sainz was only 2.4 seconds ahead of Bottas. Had Sainz have pitted and Bottas not, Sainz would have lost track position. Not only would he have lost track position to Bottas, he'd have also lost position to Tsunoda and to Gasly, because they were all, that you've got +2, +8 and +2. So overall, within 13 seconds of Sainz were 3 competitors. Had Sainz have gone into the pits and Bottas, Tsunoda and Gasly not, that would have relegated Sainz down to 7th position. Ferrari kept Sainz out on track. Why would you do that? Why would you keep your car on track if you'd agreed to a racing finish? Oh, we've all agreed to a racing finish, so what's the only thing that matters? If you are sure that this is going to be a racing finish, what's the only thing that really matters? What is it? Well, you want to be on the fastest compounder tyre that's going to be 2 seconds a lap faster than anything else, don't you? So, if everybody knows that, if everybody knows this is definitely going to be a race, so you definitely need to be on the fastest tyres possible, everybody pits for soft tyres, don't they? So you wouldn't even have to worry about losing track position because everybody's going to do it, aren't they? Why would you keep him out? Silly you for keeping him out. You know, it's like if you knew a football match was definitely going to end with a penalty shootout, right? You knew that that's what it was going to... It doesn't matter what's going to happen during the game. It's going to end with a penalty shootout. Well, what are you going to do? In the closing stages of that match, you're going to make sure the players that remain on field to finish that match are going to be your best penalty takers, aren't they? You know, you can take off all your defenders that are pretty crap at taking penalties and bring on all your midfielders and attackers. You can have a team full of midfielders and attackers because they're all your best penalty takers. You can neglect your defence. You don't have to worry about that because it doesn't matter if the other team score. You don't have to have a defence because it's going to penalties, isn't it? All that matters is you've got your best penalty takers on the pitch so that you win the penalty shootout, because that's all that matters, isn't it, lads? That's all that matters. Oh, no, they were still making strategic calls concerning track position. Does that correlate with the notion of all teams agreeing to a racing finish? Oh, no, it doesn't, does it? No, it doesn't. We then have Bottas. Bottas was 8 seconds ahead of Tsunoda. Did Mercedes pit Bottas and risk losing track position? No, they didn't. Right, then we've got Tsunoda and Gasly. Were they pitted? The Red Bull B team. So from the top down, we've had second place Red Bull. They were pitting. Third place Red Bull. They were pitting. They were some clever cards. And then we come down. Nobody else pitted down. Then we got to 6th position. Yuki Tsunoda. Now, he's only 2.4 seconds ahead of his teammate Gasly. And whilst it looks like here, Norris is only 11 seconds behind Gasly. So therefore, he's only 13 seconds behind Tsunoda. Wow, the difference here is Norris is going to be held back behind the safety car. So Norris is not going to be allowed through. So when you pit Gasly and Tsunoda, Norris, you're not going to lose track position to Norris, are you? Because he has to wait behind the safety car. So yes, you get a free pit stop if you're Tsunoda and Gasly. So what did they do? Firstly, they pitted Gasly later on into this safety car window. And then, firstly, they pitted Tsunoda, losing position to Gasly. And then later on, they pitted Gasly, enabling Tsunoda to regain that position ahead of Gasly, but maintain those two positions as you see them there. Safe in the knowledge that they weren't going to lose position here to Lando Norris, because Lando Norris had to stay behind the safety car. So again, does that strategic decision making reflect, oh, we're bound to have a racing finish? Well, who so far has changed onto the fastest compound of tyre in the knowledge that we're bound to have a racing finish? Well, Red Bull and Red Bull B team have. Mercedes haven't. Ferrari haven't. What did McLaren do? Well, McLaren, they've got Lando Norris. Lando Norris is now going to have to be behind the safety car because he's behind the leader, but he's still in a race with Gasly, but will have to be released before that race can happen. But he's still in a race with Alonso and Ocon, and that's probably all he's in a race with, because it's only the top 10 that score points. And if you're outside the top 10, you're not going to score points. And if the race ends behind the safety car and you're outside the top 10, you're not going to score points. That's the way it's going to go. But Norris doesn't want to lose track position to Alonso or Ocon. Alonso's only 3 seconds behind Norris. Ocon is only 1.6 seconds behind Alonso. In fact, Ricciardo's only 2.6 seconds behind him. If you pit Norris and you've got to have a 19-second margin not to lose track position, then Norris is going to lose positions. How far back do these go? 3.5, add 1.5, there's 5, add 2.5, there's 7.5, add half a second, that's 8, down to Vettel, there's 16. Norris would drop down to 13th position from 8th if he pitted. Oh, but you want to be on the fastest compound of tyre for the restart, don't you? No, say McLaren, track position is key, because if we don't restart, we drop out of the points and drop down to 13th position. See what we've done there? So McLaren, they didn't choose to pit to go onto the fresh. They didn't play their clever cards to go onto soft compound tyres, did they? Alonso, again, if Alonso pits, he's going to lose to Ocon. He's going to lose to Ricciardo. He's going to lose to Leclerc. He's going to lose to Vettel. He might even lose to Stroll. That would be touch and go. That might relegate Alonso down to 13th, 14th. Alonso didn't pit. Ocon didn't pit. Ricciardo is out of the top 10. He has nothing to lose. This is likely to be a safety car finish. Therefore, the top 10, assuming nobody retires, is fixed. You're not going to get any World Championship points. So, you can gamble on the grounds that we can put ourselves onto fresh, soft compound tyres, and if by any chance the race does restart, we're in a good position to attack on these fresh compound tyres and see if we can then pick up that place. But the chances are we're not going to be able to. What did Ferrari do? Did Ferrari take that gamble? No, they don't. Do Aston Martin take that gamble with Vettel? No, they don't. Do Aston Martin take that gamble with Stroll? Yeah, they do. And they do with Mick Schumacher. And I'll prove this, because when we play this through, all I'm going to do is drag the timing bar forward so that you're not seeing that I'm doing anything untoward. You can do the same. Let me just do this. I'll drag the timing bar forward and we'll see what pit stops are made. And what you'll see here, a bit more forward, I think. Yeah, there we are. We can see which of those teams and competitors have changed onto the red here, have gone on to soft compound tyres. And those that made the stops are not Hamilton, he's on the hards. Let me just try and zoom this to make everybody able to see it. You have to bear with me. Got limitations of my skills. Verstappen. Red Bull played some clever cards by going onto the soft compound tyres because they couldn't lose track position. Who else? Sonoda. They played some clever cards by going onto the soft compound tyres by not losing track position. Perez, oh, he's being retired now. So Perez was put onto the softs so that he could have the best chance at the restart as well. Oh, they retired him. Who else has gone? Gasly from the Red Bull B team. He's gone onto the soft compound tyres. Okay. Daniel Ricciardo, who was in 11th position, he changed onto the soft compound tyres. And what's happened to him now? He's now in 13th. And Stroll and Mick Schumacher, did they play some clever cards by going onto the soft compound tyres? I mean, were McLaren playing were McLaren playing the clever cards by changing Ricciardo? He was in 11th position. Had McLaren not have changed his tyres and just left him out on track in 11th, when Perez retired here and is now dropping down the order, as you see, as all the cars are going by that pit lane with Perez stuck in the pits, right? So with Perez now out of that running order, what would that have done? That would have elevated Daniel Ricciardo into 10th position and given him a World Championship point. Oh, that didn't happen, did it? Oh, that wasn't the clever cards. That wasn't having nothing to lose. Oh, well, you lost something. You lost something. What did Ferrari do? Ferrari chose track position, didn't they? Ferrari kept Leclerc on track, although Leclerc was initially behind Ricciardo. Leclerc was originally in 12th. Ricciardo pits, Leclerc's in 11th. Perez retires, Leclerc finishes 10th and picks up a World Championship point. So which of those teams chose tyres over track position? Well, Mercedes didn't. Were they expecting a racing finish? Ferrari didn't. Did they agree to a racing finish? McLaren, well, they didn't with Norris and really thought they had nothing to lose with Ricciardo. Ultimately did have something to lose through an illegal restart. Did McLaren? Did they agree to a racing restart no matter what? Alpine didn't pit for fresh softs. Did they agree to a racing restart? Aston Martin with Vettel. Well, maybe as part of the show, they decided, oh, we've got to make this look like something's happening here. Make it look like some of the teams are pitting for fresh softs whilst others aren't. Oh, which team's going to get the right strategy here? Because that's when Lance Stroll bursts out at the end. What the beep? Don't worry, Lance. Don't worry, Lance. Shh. We'll explain later. We'll explain later. That's what the message was from the Aston Martin strategy team to Lance. And obviously Mick Schumacher, he'd got nothing to lose in the Haas, so were Haas also just fulfilling their role in, being part of the will they, won't they pit dilemma. Who's playing the clever cards? Who hasn't? Who's got nothing to lose? Who hasn't? But let's be clear. Those teams that would have lost track position and were on course for a point scoring position, other than Red Bull and Red Bull B team, and they were in safe positions as well. Nobody pitted for fresh softs because track position is key. That is the teams of Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, Aston Martin, in the form of Vettel. 4 teams. 4 teams. Bearing in mind, Williams are out of the race. And what are these ones? They were Alfa Romeo. They're out of the race. You've got Haas. They only entered 1 car. Mick Schumacher. 4 teams that occupied... well, Aston Martin weren't occupying a point-scoring position, but they still chose not to pit Vettel. Teams occupying point-scoring position elected not to pit. Why is that? Well, they've got people that they employ as strategists. They determine their strategy on data-driven decisions. Those data-driven decisions would indicate that you do not pit, because an incident of this nature is likely, on average, to take around about 5.5 laps before racing can resume. There were only 5.4 laps remaining of this race at the point in time where Nicholas Latifi crashed, so the data would indicate that this race was highly likely to end behind the safety car. Hence, your strategic call, your correct strategic call, would be to remain on track and not lose track position. Martin Brundle will tell you that Red Bull played some clever cards. The debate, fueled by the media, for us to conflict over in social media, was all about, oh, Mercedes was stupid by not pitting Hamilton. Ha ha, Mercedes should have pitted Hamilton. Mercedes should have pitted Hamilton. It's your own fault to leave him out there. Oh, Mercedes left Lewis Hamilton out there on 44-lap old hard tyres. They left Hamilton there as a sitting duck. That's their fault. No, no. It's not the issue whatsoever. The issue was you broke the rules to restart racing when that race should never have restarted. That is the key. And again, media will never say it as clearly as that. The single key is that that race should never have restarted, and the governing body of the show broke the rules to restart that race, depriving Lewis Hamilton of a record-breaking 8th World Championship. The teams are acting in accordance with the rules of the sport. They make their strategy calls, their strategic decisions in accordance with the rules of the sport. We are then told the notion the teams agreed that this race should end under green flag conditions. No matter what, this race shall be ended as a race. The teams agreed to that. Now, if you'd agreed to that, then you'd ignore the data, wouldn't you? You'd ignore the notion of the idea of losing track position, because that's irrelevant. If you all decided it's going to be a race, you're all going to change onto soft tyres, aren't you? We don't have to worry if the car behind us is less than 19 seconds behind us, because they'll be following us into the pits, won't they? We don't have to worry that we'll come into the pits and we'll get overtaken because they'll remain on track. We haven't got to worry about that because we've all agreed that this is going to be a racing finish. So we're all going to put ourselves on the fresh softs, aren't we? Because we've all agreed to have a race at the end, haven't we? Evidently not. Evidently, that is not what they chose to do. Evidently, some did that could, when there was no jeopardy. You know, the Red Bull team, the 2 Red Bull cars and the 2 Red Bull B team cars did. And then the 3 cars that were outside of the points did. Everybody else didn't. And that in itself tells a story. Now, of course, the strap-on fanboy will like to argue, yeah, but, I think I can disprove your point. You can keep trying. You can keep trying. You will want to claim that this doesn't prove anything. No. But what it does, it demonstrates what actually happened. This is a demonstration of the actual decisions made by those teams. That is actually what took place. That was the actual jeopardy facing those teams, and had such a decision made, had such an agreement been made, it would be fair to make the assumption that if we've all agreed to a race, we don't have to worry about track position, because we're not going to lose track position by pitting, because everybody is going to put themselves in the best situation for that race, aren't they? We're all going to go on to fresh soft compound tyres. Oh, maybe we're not. Maybe we are. Maybe we're not. Who knows? It's a gamble. Whoa, 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 whoa. How come we can't agree to that? We're either all in or not. We're either all complying by the rules, or we're all not. Because how can you expect us to make a strategy decision when we don't know whether you're going to follow us into the pits and change tyres or not? You know, we can all in this room say, yeah, we're going to go racing. So we can all go, yeah, we'll all go onto the soft compound tyres so that, you know, nobody's going to lose position when we do this to set up the spectacle. But how do I know you're not going to stiff me? How do you know that I'll pit my driver to put him onto fresh softs and you will go, cheers for that? You've just given up the track position, unlucky. So I can't afford for that to be the case. I can't trust that you're going to follow us into the pits and also change tyres. So I've got to look at the data and determine whether we're likely to go racing again. Oh, we're not. So actually I can't afford to lose track position. That's what has happened here. The decisions made. The decisions made demonstrate what the data would reflect and demonstrate the thought process in the decision making. You would choose to argue that. Any lawyer would choose to argue that. They will look to pick holes in your argument and suggest, oh, this could happen, that could happen. That may not be what they're thinking. I don't care. This is what did happen. What did happen is, in that top 10, no team that would have lost track position by pitting pitted. That is telling. That is telling. So, if you've not already watched the first part of this two-part presentation, go and have a look. Gives a clear example about the way Brundle tries to validate the notion of teams all agreeing to a racing finish, and it also gives a clear example about how a parallel occurrence would be in football. A clear example. So please like and subscribe. We need to do whatever we can do to try and overcome whatever it is that YouTube is doing to suppress the content that I'm doing. I say YouTube. YouTube owned by Google. Google owned by who was it? These people here. Alphabet and Alphabet. Owned by those that own everything. Old Vanguard and BlackRock. In control of the narrative, ultimately in control of pretty much all media. And where do you get your information from? Where do you get to hear about things? And what do you get to hear? Oh, you get to hear it from Sky Sports. You get to hear it from Autosport, Motorsport, or you get to hear it from YouTube maybe, if YouTube shows you the videos that contain certain information. If these people allow YouTube to show you certain bits of information. Or maybe if they don't like the information that somebody's presented on YouTube, and that jeopardizes something else that they've got a financial interest in, maybe they want to keep that bit of information quiet, don't they? if it's going to harm Vanguard and BlackRock financially. Rich bankers with criminal connections. Yeah, sadly, this is the way the world works. We're all finding this out. So please like, please subscribe, but importantly, please share it, and let's try to see if we can share this information and wake some people up ourselves, because we can't rely on the algorithm doing it for us. Thank you for your time.